Well, welcome to Executive Insights, where we sit down with Columbus's C-suite executives, entrepreneurs, and business owners. I'm Nick Fortini, president and publisher of Columbus Business First, and I'm joined today by Darci Congrove, who is the managing director at GBQ and now the president of the board of trustees at the Columbus Area Chamber of Commerce. So,
yes.
Welcome.
Thank you.
To start, if you wouldn't mind, Darci, tell us a little bit about yourself and about GBQ.
Sure. So I joined GBQ in 1998 as part of a merger and have been there ever since. Worked for two accounting firms before that. GBQ is a 68-year-old business founded here in Columbus. We're an accounting firm, full service, audits, taxes, and all kinds of specialty things at this point. About 220 people, now located in 3 offices in Columbus, Cincinnati, and Toledo. So
I can't think of an industry that's been more in demand over the past year than your industry. How have you been able to help clients through this period?
Well, things kind of started with a bang because we had so much legislative activity very early on to deal with the pandemic. And anytime there's tax legislation involved, people get really concerned. There were obviously the PPP loans and a lot of the programs that were specific to certain industries, like some of the restaurants, were in high demand. Mm-hmm. So we did something that we have done in the past a little bit. We've always had kind of subject matter experts on certain things that were critical, but we've never done it to the extent that we did this time. Very early on, identified that we needed to put a particular group of people on each of those topics and have them get really deep really fast. And that required a pretty fair amount of teamwork because those people all had other jobs. And so the rest of us had to take those tasks away from them. And I think it worked really well because we were able to mobilize answers to our clients very quickly.
And the information was changing daily.
Constantly. Yeah. We joke that the PPP rules were updated about 150 times. So we literally, many, many nights were processing, new releases that had come out at the end of a day. And then by the next morning, pushing that information out. We fortunately have, at this point, a really great marketing team that has been kind of growing over the years. Mm-hmm. And at this point, what I tell people is it's almost like our own little captive agency because we do all of our own graphics and all of those things. But that team really kind of hit the ball out of the park and pushed all of our stuff that we normally would do in person. We do a lot of engagement with clients and education in our office and events. We like to be social, and we obviously couldn't do that. So we very quickly pivoted to webinars and online discussion groups and all kinds of alerts and really just push a ton of information out, probably more so than we've ever done.
Mm-hmm. So what about your business? How have you innovated through this period?
Yeah, we were already pretty well set up with the technology, which I know a lot of our clients really struggled with, being in a place that they could actually get everything working so their employees could go home and be safe. We were already there because our audit teams work remotely all the time, and a lot of us had spent time, at home. So we had to do that with our new Toledo office. We acquired a Toledo office in February 1, and then COVID happened in March. So we did a pretty significant technology investment there. But I think probably the most innovative thing we did was what I mentioned earlier, that we took a different approach to client service. We've always been very kind of client team focused. Mm-hmm. And so if it was your client, you were responsible for pushing information to them about whatever it was they needed. And the information overload was so significant that we really couldn't do that. So we had the opportunity to bring these specialty teams to bear on the situation and really, I think, give deeper expertise to the clients. And what we realized was that clients really don't care who the information is coming from as long as they're getting the help that they need. And I think that shift, which sounds like a small thing, will be a pretty big thing for us as we go forward because we're expecting more tax legislation yet this year, as we're all reading in the newspaper, and a lot of other things that are happening. And so just the pace at which things are changing is causing us to think a lot more about specialization and how we really dig deep on things and then push that out through the rest of our service teams to get to the clients. And I think it's making us think differently about, how we staff and how we put people into certain areas and what they're best at. We have some people who are really great at triaging a lot of technical details, and we have some people who are really great at interacting with humans. And so we're trying to get everybody in the right places to do the right things. The other thing we did that I think was innovative for us, probably innovative in our industry, just because accountants are known as being a very kind of structured, rule following kind of group of people, is that we didn't make any new rules. So we sent people home and we told them to do what they needed to do, take care of their clients and their families, and really didn't keep track of anything. And I think that freedom felt really good to everybody. And, we're going to come back from this to an office that'll probably be run a little differently than it was before. And hopefully that'll be, engaging enough for our team that they'll want to stick with GBQ a little longer than kind of the industry average.
Yeah, and that extension of trust is invaluable. I mean, that is when you tell an employee that you trust them to do their job, however they see fit, that goes a long way.
Yeah.
So talking about kind of counsel to your clients, running a business, as you know, is hard, even in a good year. What is your counsel to businesses about, being able to innovate, being able to try new things, being able to react quickly? How do you counsel your clients right now?
Well, I think the first thing that we did was really think hard about our team and whether we were ready to meet the test, right? The test of what the clients were going to need and how we got out of our own way and we stopped thinking about how the pandemic was going to impact GBQ and tried to shift our focus very early on to how it was impacting our clients. We represent large sectors of businesses that were not able to work remotely.
Yeah.
So, kind of the first thing was to really think about it, by being in their shoes. And we talked, and I think, some people in the office were trying to figure out why we were talking about it so much, but very early on, talked a lot about empathy. We literally counted how many people do we have in the firm right now who have never worked during an economic downturn, who have never seen kind of a crisis. More than 60% of our team.
Wow.
Since the Great Recession, right? More than 60%. So we talked a lot about, don't be the person that's calling the client and saying, I've asked you 3 times for the depreciation schedule. I don't have it yet. When that may be a manufacturer that was deemed non-essential that just laid off 500 people. Like, meet them where they are and listen more than talk. And I think that's not particularly innovative either, but emphasizing the human side as opposed to the math and technical side of our business, I think was probably innovative based on the feedback we got from the market. Because as we approached that way, we picked up new clients and we moved clients from other firms that were not talking to them like real people, that were just pushing a lot of rules and details at them. And we got a lot of great feedback that we were listening. We were also explaining things in ways that people could understand. And these business owners were moving fast and managing their own crises, so they really couldn't dedicate all of their time as we were to the nuance of the PPP rules or the tax legislation that might benefit them. So I think really thinking hard about how to connect in a way and meet people where they were was important.
So what piece of advice would you give to companies coming out of this period?
Well, we always try to give advice that will take ourselves. So I think the starting point for GBQ, particularly given how long things lasted, right? We all went into this not thinking that it was going to be more than a year. And there was a lot of discussion early on amongst our team and with our clients about can't wait to get back to normal. And what we've decided right now is we don't want to go back to anything. We want to kind of put a stake in the ground and figure out what have we learned? What are we actually doing more efficiently and better? Which parts of this kind of being at home part of the time are good? Which ones aren't? And how can we build a better future for the next generation of GBQ? So I think our advice to clients is the same. Don't resist the urge to go back to exactly the way it was before and stop and take some of the lessons that we've all learned through COVID and figure out the next best.
Related to that, what services are you now offering virtually moving forward that maybe you didn't before?
Yeah.
How does virtual fit into your plan?
Yeah, so virtual is going to be interesting for us because we were an organization that was really proud of being engaged face to face with people.
Sure.
Whether that was visiting our clients on site or having in-person meetings or doing a lot of education and social events in our office. We have found that we can do all of those things virtually. Probably the hardest one is going to be the socializing piece. That's hard to do virtually.
Yeah.
I think Zoom, happy hours were fun for about the first 6 weeks, and then
That's about it.
that died. But we are able to deliver all of the professional services that we offer without being on site, including our audits, which we figured out how to do with new technology and drones and FaceTime and all kinds of things to look at inventory. So we won't do that full time, but we definitely are expanding our geography. Some of the inbound work that we got through the pandemic times came to us because people were looking online to find resources, and they found our website, and so it doesn't really matter whether they're in Ohio or not, because none of us were able to see one another in person at that point. So we're excited about what that opportunity may look like.
Final thoughts.
Final thoughts, I think, is that this has been, it was a good year for GBQ because we were in high demand. It was good for us because we were able to keep everybody safe. We didn't have to think about some of the considerations of other businesses. But it was a really hard year because we did a ton of work. We worked harder than we have worked ever, statistically.
I bet.
So we're really focused right now on what to do for our team and how to work on engagement and retention in a business that is always known for high turnover. We're seeing, the labor market's crazy. So I think the big thing that we're working on right now is people. And I think with everything that we're seeing out there in the news about the labor market, that's really what every business needs to be focused on right now.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, thank you for being here in person for
Sure.
Executive Insights. Darci Congrove with GBQ.